Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have a very strategic game to share with you from the ongoing Top Chess Engine Championship, Season 28, Premier Division, Round 39, played August 17th. On the white end, Obsidian. When Obsidian is not a dark natural glass formed by the cooling of molten lava, it is a chess engine written in C++. Started development in April of 2023, its author, Gabe. It evaluates positions with a neural network trained on Leela Chess 0 data. Its rating, a beefy 3645. And it is up against Integral. I've included a GitHub link in the description if you would like to learn more about Obsidian. We have here a French defense, Tarash. And let's see where our start position is for this game. We're not too far away. Start position for this game is right here. The first move of this game, h4. Now, these two already played from this start position with colors reversed. Integral also went on to win with the white pieces. All right, we follow that game for a few moves. I'll share where play deviates from that game. In general, highlighting the space invader pawns. This is the side of the board where each will look to play. So king side for white, queen side for black. We see just that very early on. And from here we continue with g4. When Integral had the white pieces, the decision here was to develop the knight to e2. Obsidian has a different idea in mind for this knight. From here, g4 it is, f6, we are 10 moves in, and so far 75% of the play has been with the pawns. It's time to get some more pieces involved. So we have fianchetto, knight h3 to f2. Big difference with the knights in each of the games. Queenside castles, kingside castles. All right, rook e8, bishop d2. If the bishop goes to a more active square, e3, tactically vulnerable. If you go to e3, there's the capture on e5. This pawn is pinned to the bishop, so there's these ideas in mind. Chop, chop, chop again, the bishop falls. So just one step here, bishop d2 it is. King b8, rook b1, bishop e7, b3. Opposite sides castles game. Let's try and rip open a file. We have first the capture in the center, and now these next handful of moves. Interesting to see how Integral tries to hold up this play on the queen side. We see the capture on b3. The bad bishop now becomes a very active piece with tempo on c4, and now try to hold on to b4. b4 challenged. The bishop in a spot to now support b3. Important moment. How would you respond here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, this is a big positional test. Necessary is a4. If white doesn't play a4, black plays a4. And this connected passed pawn is way too strong. You must play a4 here and keep these pawns disjointed. And from here, try to next break down this configuration. All right. g6. Let's try and open a line towards the white king. The response is bishop e3. Now, I believe one of the moves you can play is h6 to try and just make sure everything is shut down on the king side, but we have a much more direct approach by Obsidian in this one. It kicks off with bishop e3. d2 has now opened up for the knight. We see just that. After the capture on h5, knight d2, bishop is hit, b3 ready to collapse. from here the bishop backs off. If this pawn continues in its capturing ways, this would be losing. If you capture on g4 here, this is too big a piece to give up that light square bishop. Follow up from here, queen e2. There's not a good way to hang on to c4. This is an enormous piece, big square for the knight as well. Queen a6 is not working to hold on to that. This pawn would be in a pin. Queen a6. There's rook captures b3. Anyhow, you cannot afford to give up the light square bishop, so it backs off. From here, queen c1, gearing up for the capture, pin and win of the queen. King a8, rook takes b, queen a7, and only at this point, only after play has opened up on the queen side, does Obsidian react to this tension, closes things up somewhat with g5. Follow up rook b8, knight reposition. This is a base point, so ready to target this pawn here. Pair of rooks off, rook b8, queen d1, defense of the knight. Maybe there's some quick idea of a capture on h5, h7, and then roll with the passed g pawn. All right, from here, h4, knight improvement, attack and defense of e6, knight d2, the queen now free to go elsewhere, rook activity. As soon as the knight moves, look how quick this piece tries to be disruptive. On the second rank, follow up queen f3, and from here the bishop abandons this diagonal right here, goes to b7. Now, why is that the case? There is a sacrifice nearby for white, the capture on d5. So for example, if rook a2 trying to hunt this pawn and maybe next trying to roll with the passed a pawn, knight takes d5 is there. Continuation like this. This is deadly. Also, you could go for this sacrifice even if you're not landing a fork. So, for instance, if the rook is on a different square, let's say rather than targeting the a pawn, you go for the c pawn. This is still here, and this is considered excellent. Just targeting the knight, white would now have these two connected pass pawns and really dangerous pieces here, bishops. Adjacent diagonals pointing towards the black king, the cornered king. This is a decisive line for white. Okay, with the move bishop b7, this sacrifice is no longer working. What we have is queen g4. If you try the capture in this position, it says after these captures, knight d8, that this is winning for black. Going to have the light square bishop off. Black queen becomes active. Okay, calls it a win for black. So no sacrifice on d5. Queen g4, knight d8, rook c1, rook a2, some reposition. This pawn is ready to be captured in just a couple moves. What we have is queen b8. So I found this curious. Why queen b8? Why not go ahead and swipe a4? Well, there's a problem. If you take a4, this hits really fast. Bishop d3, let's say you move the rook here and next try to roll. There's this shot. There would be this shot. Bishop captures h7. Knight takes bishop g6. The g pawn flies. So let's play this out a few moves. Capture, g6. How are you stopping this pawn? Maybe a push, maybe a capture. You go here. This is deadly. Decisive for white. So this needs to be addressed. This idea to quickly swipe the pawn and fly with the g pawn. The queen takes a step back. There's some pressure on e5, a potential tactic nearby for black. Bishop d3, knight f7, and from here we have knight f3. So If you try the sacrifice on h7 in this position, this is how black would hit back. There'd be knight captures e5. With the idea pawn captures knight, queen captures pawn, problem here, problem here. This is a saving resource for black. All right, in this game, rather than some trick on h7, we have knight f3. Now let's just pause for a moment. Is there anything that sticks out to you about this position? If you'd like to, go ahead, take some time. Anything that's grabbing your attention here? Okay, for me, it's these knights. You could, of course, identify a few things, but this is the one that sticks out for me, the quality of the knights. These are fantastic white knights, blacks on the back foot. All right, from here we have queen d8, knight e2, knight h8, queen takes pawn, queen e8, knight f4, knight exchange, and now the queen enters. Okay, from here, king a7, queen inching in, rook takes a, rook f1. From here, queen d8 is played, and white's response is to swipe this big pawn. There's now a passer that white can work with. Why is black giving up this g5 pawn? Well, if the queen stays trained like this on g6, let's say the rook moves. What happens is the knight backs off, and now the rook is going to enter. This is a decisive plan here for white. Rook on the 7th rank. So with the move in the game, queen d8, pressure on g5 prevents the knight from moving. From here, it's bishop captures g6. If the knight moves here, you have the capture. There's no time to take the knight. There's this idea to take the bishop with check. Bishop takes bishop, queen's recapturing with check. Okay, black is giving up in this game with queen d8, the g6 pawn, in order to prevent the quick activation of the rook. The g pawn falls, each side with a passed pawn. White's much more dangerous, only 3 steps away from queening. So from here, bishop a6, rook saved, rook c4, bishop h5, and from here, rook c7 is played. Now this bishop is in a good spot, supporting the knight, getting out of the pawn's way. If black continued in this position with rook captures c3, there would be bishop d2. There's no rook captures knight. This pawn can fall shortly. There's this quick idea to pile up on a5. The c pawn not really so significant. So we don't have that capture. Rook c7, setting up some discovered tricks. The follow-up from here is queen h6, gets out of the 7th rank. So if you try to advance the pawn in this position, g6, there's bishop h4, a double attack. Queen gets out of the way. Bishop d3, follow-up, rook a1. Why not advance this passed pawn? There's a trick available to black if you try to advance with g6, and the trick here is with knight captures g6. Bishop captures knight, there's queen g8, pin of the bishop. Okay. Can't advance the pawn just yet. We have rook a1, rook c8, queen to the 7th rank, and now the rook goes back to the 7th. At this point, the pawn falls, and I wondered what would happen if black didn't give this point up. The rook now interferes with the queen's defense. If, let's say, rather than rook c7, let's say king a6 is on board, you could go with bishop d2, with then the idea to play c4, and this is ready to collapse. Note, in this position after bishop d2, if bishop c4, trying to prevent the pawn from advancing to secure a5, well, the bishop is no longer around to help defend against this passed pawn, and white can already start to think about advancing it. So how it is played here, we do not see. king a6, it's rook c7, rook captures a check, king b8, rook a2, from here queen c8, queen's out of the pawn's way, bishop e4, rook b2 check, king a7, knight d2. Saw this earlier, the knight challenging the bishop when it was on c4. Strong piece on e4, immediately challenged. Queen a6, king improvement. It's going to keep this construction right here. In case the queen tries to get active, things are well coordinated with the king on f2. Follow up queen a3, rook defended, and now a nice break here with c4. This bishop is opposite the king. Now, how black plays it from here, we have rook c8. If there's the capture on c4, there would be d5 discovered check, followed by d6, and this is crushing. This would be crushing. Pawn takes rook, pawn takes bishop is one winning path, the top winning path. The knight is hit twice in that position. Rook recaptures, queen takes knight, everything's going to fall. There's no block on e8. White has that covered. So allowing this pawn on d4 to move with discovered check would be crushing. Black's try is with rook c8. Follow up, the queen inches in now, queen g7, queen f7, and there's a restriction now placed on the queen. She can't go too far. Has to watch over the bishop. Follow up bishop d6, and from here we're going to get the queen exchange. And the conversion is quite simple from here. Going to win material at this stage. There's no fear at this point without the queens about any perpetual check. If white really needed to have the king play an active role in this ending, it's ready to do so, to escort the pawn, but that's not going to be necessary. White at this stage is just up a significant amount of material. So let's just see the conversion from here. Eventually pushing through with one of the passed pawns. You can liquidate like this. You have all day, plenty of different ways to convert. Obsidian's approach is to roll with the e-pawn and then get a queen. And eventually we're going to have checkmate on this e7 square. So I thought this was a very nice game out of the French defense. Tarrasch, strategic play there, playing opposite wings, opposite sides castles game. What are your thoughts with this one? Feel free as usual to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.